Today I'm going to be making this beautiful black forest cake for my mother-in-law for Mother's Day. I am going to be making some chocolate bark. So I've got some melted semi-sweet chocolate here. You can use whatever kind of chocolate you want. It's going to be the decoration for a cake in a little bit. So basically just pour it out, offset spatula. Whoops. Going rogue. And now, just going to roll it up. It is wet. That's okay. Whoops. Just ruining lives over here. Roll it up. Rolly roll. And now this goes in the fridge for about half an hour at least. The moment of truth for that chocolate bark. It's been in the fridge for well over half an hour. Probably a couple of hours actually. All right, we're gonna check out this chocolate bark. Okay. Oh. Now this is not tempered, so it'll get smeary on your fingers. I have seen this come off of here like much more easily. Oops, sorry. I hit you with my bubes. All right, woo. Made a fine mess. But that's okay. So just put them into this little container. I will clean all that up in a minute. And for now, this goes into the fridge. Making my chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream right now. So here I have a pot with some water starting to simmer in it. You don't need this to be too crazy hot or bubbly. And then I'm making a double boiler. So if you have one, you can use that. I don't. So I'm just going to be using the mixing bowl from my mixer, my stand mixer, that I've already checked, and when I put it in, it's not touching the bottom. Like it's not touching the water. When I take it out, it's still dry. So just putting that in there like that. I've got 5 egg whites, and normally I remove these horrible squidgy bits, but apparently you want them in here. So gross, but whatever. That's about 3/4 cup of egg whites with the squidgies. So yucky. This is 300 grams of white sugar, just granulated normal sugar, and about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, that goes in, and you just start whisking. You want to whisk this until it gets to be completely dissolved. We want the sugar to be completely dissolved. The recipe I'm using is Sam's from Sugar Spun Run. I love so much of the stuff that she does. So it's been a few minutes of basically just doing this nonstop. When I feel the stream here, I can feel that the sugar is dissolved. However, it's not yet up to the temperature we want. food safe temperature is about 160 Fahrenheit. Okay, so I've been whisking for another couple of minutes, and now we are just past 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 71 Celsius. So we're going to take this off the heat, put it onto our stand. Obviously, whisk attachment, again, washed very, very clean, and on medium speed for probably about 8 minutes. This will whip up until it's thick and glossy. You want nice, thick, stiff peaks. And by the time it has reached stiff peaks, it should be relatively cool. You want this to be cool to the touch. Doesn't have to be ice cold, but you don't want it to be hot or warm, because when you move on to the next step of mixing in your butter, it's going to melt your butter, and we do not want that. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. This is absolutely stunning. It's very stiff. So want to clear this out. We're going to switch to the paddle attachment. Okay. All right, so give that a little whippy whip, and the butter will be added in shortly. So here we have the butter. Okay, so this is 2 cups of butter, 4 sticks of butter. Going to add that in about a tablespoon at a time. So I've cut it into rough chunks. So I'm going to be adding 1 chunk at a time, and you want each chunk to be well incorporated before you add the next one. So we're on medium speed. Okay, you may have to stop and scrape down the bowl. This is all whipped up really nicely. My chocolate I melted and cooled. That took a little bit of time, but it's still nice and melty. You want to make sure that this is cool and not warm to the touch at all, or it will melt when you put it in here. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. I am now going to put this in a container. I'm not using it today. So this you can put in an airtight container and refrigerate for a couple of days until you need it. It can also be frozen for, I think it's like 3 months or something. So you can make big batches of this and freeze it. I'm going to be using this in about 2 days. So I just wanted to make it now and get it out of the way. For the Black Forest cake, I've got 250 grams of all-purpose flour. Give that a little whisk. And then I've got 1 teaspoon each of salt and baking powder and 2 teaspoons of baking soda. This is 400 grams of granulated sugar and about 2 teaspoons of vanilla. To this, I'm adding about 109 grams of vegetable oil, 2 eggs, that one really didn't want to open. Give that a little whisk. There we have 240 milliliters of buttermilk at room temperature. And this is hot coffee, 250 grams or 250 mils, 1 cup. Adding my cocoa powder in. I didn't sift it, I totally forgot to, but this is 65 grams of Dutch processed cocoa powder that I'm adding to the dry, and then just adding all the wet into the dry. Evenly distribute that between 2 8-inch cake pans. I believe mine are 9-inch. I didn't measure them, but I don't have a lot of sizes of cake pans, and I knew that going in and I was fine with it. 350-degree oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. I greased the pans and dusted them with cocoa, and I also put the parchment circles in just so they wouldn't stick. So much steam came out when I peeled off these parchment rounds. So now we are going to make the cherries. A 1/3 cup of white sugar, and a couple drops of this almond extract. I don't have Kirsch, which is the cherry liqueur, so apparently adding a little bit of that helps it to taste more like that. A little teeny bit of cinnamon. I did 1/8 teaspoon. And I added about 1.5 pounds of cherries, and then a 1/3 cup of that tart cherry juice. It is now time to put some filling in here. So we have, this is the cherry juice. This is 2/3 cup. And apparently you do want to use the whole amount. And maybe don't wear anything white like my apron, because I'm splattering cherry juice all over it and it's hilarious. So traditionally you would just put whipped cream on here, but I am doing some chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream. I don't want this layer to be too thick because I'm going to be putting cherry. Going to pipe a dam around the edge. And on go some cherries. So that looks fine. Up comes the next layer. Give them a little push. My hands are so filthy. I've just given up on washing them for now. Not forever, just for the moment. Okay. Gelatin making time. This is going to stabilize the whipped cream. 2 teaspoons and 1/4 teaspoon of gelatin powder and 3 tablespoons of cold water. Mix that up. I'm going to set that aside just to firm up. To make the heavy whipping cream, 3 cups of heavy cream. I don't know if I need all of this, but I'd rather have too much than too little. Add in some vanilla, about 2 teaspoons. and 147 grams of icing sugar. And once it's at soft peaks, we're going to add in our gelatin. I ended up switching bowls. The other one was a bit small. Even this one's a bit tight, but I've just popped my gelatin back, or rather into the microwave for 8 seconds just to melt it a little bit so it's not hot. Just melted and whipped to soft peaks. We're going to turn it back on and drizzle this in. So now we're at nice firm peaks. I'm going to put this into a piping bag and get my cake out of the fridge. Time to decorate. I'm definitely not the best at making those cute swirls, but life will go on. And there we have it, our slightly twisted Black Forest cake with chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream, stabilized whipped cream with some cute chocolate bark, and hopefully this thing survives the drive to my mother-in-law's house for Mother's Day.